You've got that.
Sorry.
No worries. Go ahead.
My name's Susanna, and I'm one of the residents here at Wedge. And I've been living in the Harrow Road area for most of my life. And the other day I was walking up Harrow Road. I saw one guy on one side of the street screaming and shouting at himself. I don't know what he was on. There was another guy doing exactly the same on the opposite side. And now some guy has pitched up his tent outside Co-op and is literally living there and has been for a couple of months. And I just don't understand how the hell that even happens. And also, another thing that we need to understand as well is the thing with Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer is that they're both members of the World Economic Forum, and that is the reason why they are two cheeks of the same bum. And we have to remember that is their puppet master. So
all I can say is that we have in Harrow Road Ward the highest incident in the country of people who are on disability benefits. We have up to 49 or 48% of this ward are on that disability benefit. So that means that those kind of incidents are going to be quite rife. The fact that we've got homeless people that are having to sleep in tents is the thing that I think is the shame.
But it's here, like
Yeah, it's everywhere in London.
It's like literally on the street.
I know.
The guy's got his trainers like all neat, his stuff all neat, like that is now his home.
I've seen that guy, and I feel sorry for him, and I'd like us as a council to be able to help people like that. And to be honest with you, our party is the only party that has got written directly in our 10-point plan a policy where we're going to try and help give free laundries for people like that, so they can wash their clothes, so they can have some dignity, so that at least if we were in power, we'd be looking to support those people. And also, we have a veterans program as well, because the majority of the homeless people in our country are homeless people who are served this country and have fought on the front lines for us. And then when they come back here, they suffer from PTSD. They suffer from all sorts of problems. And those problems actually cause them to stop being in a relationship, in a marriage. They end up in a broken home. And these people are our brothers and sisters. They're still my brethren, you know? And I'd like to be able to help them. I'm not happy about the policy of the country or the council, and I'd like to do something about homelessness as well. So it's a matter of working out how we can best help those people and give them the dignity. I think Lynn, my partner, and I have always tried to talk to those people, ask them their first name, have a conversation with them, and turn around and say, well, I'm a bit better off than you are, so I'm going to get them a fish and chips, and I'll pay for that. And it doesn't bother me, because if I've got money in my pocket and I can stop someone being hungry, that's what I think I should do. Yeah? So that's how I feel about that homeless guy.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's not that
I know what you're saying. I get
it
it.
shouldn't be getting to that point.
Exactly. Hassan, can you give the microphone over there?
All right. Okay. Which one?
Hi, George. Hi, George.
Hi.
First of all, thank you so much for coming to our community. We appreciate that. I'm a founding member of Wedge Housing Association, which the tenants seceded from Westminster Council and became self-managing, and they've done a brilliant job of renovating their I read a report about 2 years ago, released under the American Freedom of Information Act, that said America, since the year 2000, this was three years ago, had dropped more than 250,000 bombs and missiles on the world, including 150,000 on Syria and Iraq. Can you imagine 75,000 bombs dropped on Britain? It's disgraceful. What I would like to see from our candidate is not only reintroduction of good social services, the renationalisation of the industries that we once used to own, less people who have mental problems put out on the street and left to be homeless, and how we re-establish kindness, laughter, fun, friendship, learning, benevolent technology for the benefit of all mankind, and how we oppose Agenda 21, the WEF agenda, which is to lower the world's population to 1.9 billion and put us all in smart cities. How do we get back to that state of kindness? And I think that we can only do it by building a basic community-based movement. And Hoz is our representative that might do that. But you are the leader that is going to tell the truth. And if I ask Hoz for any one thing, it's to tell us the truth. Yeah.
Well, that's a magnificent question and answer. You answered it yourself. That's exactly what we need. And if I may, you'd be an excellent candidate for the Workers' Party also. And there will be other elections, yes, even in this area. That was beautifully expressed. The Way We Were, I don't know if anyone remembers that movie, but I love the title, The Way We Were. I now realize that I lived in a golden era in Britain, which has been lost. I was born in 1954. I lived in a slum, officially a slum, in an attic with an outside toilet, shared with 5 other families. And the slum was cleared. I was given a brand new, spanking new council house. My father worked in a factory, sent there by the government, under government direction. At the top of the road, I went to a school. At the bottom of the road, I went to a clinic once a week. I got free orange juice, malt to build me up. I'll need to stop taking that now. It was a golden age in which you could go to university free of charge. Free. I never did. I worked to send other people to university, who then got into Parliament and kicked that ladder away, the one that they climbed up on, and made it tuition fees, which have gone up and up and up and up. That golden age, from 1945, 1950s, ended with the advent of Thatcherism in 1979, and it's been all downhill since. And in that period, our society has become brutal. I mean, I know this is not a perfect answer, but people of my age never used to see people with mental health crises wandering around the streets, pitching tents outside Tesco, screaming in your face. As I came here, I got a very nice reception from most of the people, but one guy sitting on the street corner screamed an unmentionable, unconscionable obscenity at me. And clearly he was mentally ill. When I was young, you never saw that kind of thing. You never saw drugs. I still haven't seen a drug. People talk about drugs, I don't know what they look like. In the era in which I grew up, there were policemen on the street, in twos, on the beat, not going by on a flashing car to respond to an emergency that's already happened, but to intervene when they saw things that might develop into things that would be crime and danger. That period lasted a very short time in our history. So the time I'm describing is so different from the time my grandparents grew up, with no National Health Service, no automatic right to free school, never mind university. No working class people went to university in those days. But our grandchildren are going to grow up in a Britain in many ways just as bad as the era in which my grandparents grew up. So we're in a big hole in this country. They talk about the black hole in the accounts that they miraculously discovered, like they didn't know the state of the country's finances when they were running in the election. But our country's in danger of disappearing, breaking up. You know, I'm one of these Scottish people that wants to keep the country together. I'm against separatism. But the way things are going, there's going to be separatism in Scotland and Wales. And then there will be nothing called Britain. Then England will stand on its own. And that's not a good thing. No good can come of that. And inside our own country, we're going to have racial and religious strife. There are too many people in this country who, instead of blaming the billionaires and the Blairs, are blaming Abdul, who runs a shop on the corner, or blaming the black guy sat on his stoop. The potential for Britain to actually disintegrate is real. And we in the Workers' Party, we believe in Britain. We make no bones about that. We think the British are a great people and can do great things again. Yesterday was the Battle of Britain Day. I'm sorry to sound like an old fogey, but if it was not for the Battle of Britain, I'd be speaking to you tonight in German. Except I wouldn't be speaking to you at all, because there would be no elections. And I'd long ago have ended up in a concentration camp, like many of the people in this room. We did a great thing. Churchill was right about that, if nothing else. That was our finest hour. And we did it together. We pulled together. And we can do it again, and if we don't, we're in really big trouble.
Can I ask if we can we get 3 questions together instead of just one, so we can go from one to the next and the next? So other people may want to have their hand up. So we've got 1 question from you, and 2 more questions. If anybody else has got a question, put your hand up. It's you, and at the back. Okay, any more? Right, let's go with your question for now. We'll go with 2 for now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. On a light-hearted note, I just observed something which I would like to share. The reason that respected George Galloway looked up to you is because he doesn't look down on people. No matter what you are, he'll always look up to you. Number 1. Number 2, I would like to mention that I have requested Mr. Galloway to grant me a little time after he has finished with everything, and I hope that is the case, and I would love to speak to him later on. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Take the microphone to the back.
Sorry, I forgot just one thing. Sorry, I forgot something. My back is itching. Can somebody tell me if there's an insect or something like that?
For those of you that can't see it, it says on his back, "Arrest Netanyahu." That's why.
Good evening. We have Keir Stormtroopers, Blairite Labour in name only party in power. It gave us the most war criminal and Islamophobic government in living memory in this country. The hard right Blairite government that couldn't tell enough lies and find enough excuses to victimise Muslim people, start bombing Baghdad, Afghanistan, Iraq etc. Wasn't it naive of anybody to think that Stormtrooper and his Blairite Labour in name only party would object to Netanyahu doing the same sort of Islamophobic war criminality that they were doing 20 years ago? And if the answer to that question is blaringly obvious, then I'll ask just one more. All of my Jewish friends, who Netanyahu and the Board of Deputies pretends to represent, are totally disgusted at the way Israel is behaving in their name. They are ashamed. They are so ashamed they go on protest supporting Palestinian nationalism. They are that ashamed. Not all my white English friends do that, but my Jewish friends do. Not even all my Muslim friends do. To cap it all, even a man called Nick Griffin never pretended to be a friend of Muslims, never pretended to welcome Muslims in this country or want them here. Even he was outraged and disgusted by what the Zionists are doing in Gaza. Even he agrees that they've gone too far. So my question is, what does it take for a man like Starmer to have some kind of humanity? Do these chairs in this room have to rise up and march on Downing Street and tell Starmer this murder and genocide is wrong before he gets the message?
Bravo. Yeah, well, I think that yes, of course, to the gentleman at the front, I'll be happy to talk to you briefly after the meeting. What would it take? I don't think that Keir Starmer is able to change course. He pledged his allegiance to Israel, as so many Labour people have done over generations, actually. And he did it for a mixture of ideological reasons, not liking Arabs very much, not liking Muslims very much, guilt about the Western role in turning away the Jews who wanted to flee from Hitler's Holocaust, and much more base reasons than that. Israel and its supporters have performed a kind of state capture in Britain and in the United States and in some other countries. They have judiciously used money and compromat, as the Russians put it. That's what the Epstein operation was all about. Bring Western politicians in, let them commit heinous acts, video them, and then they're yours for life. If they give you a brown envelope that you didn't declare, you're theirs for life, because they can announce at any time, and have the photographs, no doubt, to prove it, that they corrupted you, and you're theirs for life. And I think it's a mixture of these things that has led to a situation where both the Labour Party and the Democrats in the US and the Labour equivalent SPD in Germany and the Labour equivalent SP in France are all completely behind Netanyahu, even, as I said, when half of Israel is on the streets of Tel Aviv trying to get him out. The Israeli press denounces Netanyahu daily. But if you denounced Netanyahu, you'd have the police at your door. I do so because they don't really yet have the nerve to come to my door, but they've come to many other people's doors, respected journalists, former ambassadors, and so on. But in Israel, It's routine to call Netanyahu a criminal. But if you called him a criminal here, you'd be in trouble with the police. That's the state capture that I'm talking about. And how we break that? Well, of course we have to march. Of course we have to protest. Of course we have to boycott. I must say this, I've said it many times, but you'll understand why. Our 7-year-old daughter was at a birthday party just a couple of weeks ago, and the people, the mother and father of the girl whose birthday it was, called us to say she had a problem because they wanted to take all the children after the party to McDonald's. But our daughter was refusing to go to McDonald's. She refused to go to McDonald's. Although she loves a Happy Meal like anybody else,